Creating a character is one of the fundamental basic skills of playing any role-playing game, and picking your character's race is the start of all that. So let's talk about that. Welcome back, fellow Game Masters. I'm Richard Quiner, and today we're talking about races in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Now, this video is a little more specific because, as I said, we're talking about Dungeons & Dragons, and that's because creating a character in each of the different game systems is a slightly different task with different steps that you need to take. So rather than just telling you how to create a character in all the game systems, I'm doing individual videos going over the steps of creating a character in Dungeons & Dragons. We'll do one for Pathfinder, playtest, and several other games as the year goes on. But welcome back from the new year, so let's get right into this races in Dungeons & Dragons. Now, when you're creating a character, the race is the first thing you're going to pick, and that is because it gives you a lot of basic, simple attributes that your character is going to need in order to play the game. These cultural traits, or feats as they may be called in the player's handbooks, are things that your character just gets for free by existing. They don't rely on a specific class or skill level. They just exist because you are the race that you have chosen. Now, there are several different things determined by the race, mainly your generic basic look. For instance, a halfling is not going to be 6 feet tall, and a human will not be 3 feet tall. That's just, well, a human might. That's a whole other topic for another day. But you get a basic idea of a generic appearance for your character that you can then build on in developing the style and look that you want for your character. In addition, you get basic cultural traits such as being able to see in the dark or being able to breathe underwater, as well as learning languages and being able to use special armors or weapons that might exist in the game. And last, you get some special, very special, unique spellcasting abilities depending on your race. For example, the Fire Genasi race is more prone to cast fire-based magic spells and has a couple at their disposal from level 1, just for being a Fire Genasi. The race may also affect your character's personality in some ways, in some minor ways I should say, based on the culture that they grew up around, whereas dwarves are kind of stubborn and a little more hard-headed, while elves are a little more haughty and could be a little bit, they could look down their noses at people, we could say. It depends on how you want to make up your character, but you'll get some certain attitudes from your character's race. And most of these races also include some sub-races that offer a little more customizability to the character that you are creating. For example, a dwarf may be able to be a mountain dwarf, a hill dwarf, or a duergar. All of these options are available to the players depending on the race you pick. One thing the race also does is affect your ability scores. Now, the ability scores we're going to talk about in a whole other video, but you should understand that depending on what race you choose, it will affect the ability scores that your character can have. Whether it is a positive bonus, like a boost to the score, or a subtraction from the score, it will be determined by the race that you pick. Now, a couple notable races in Dungeons & Dragons, and these are races you can find in the basic rules of Dungeons & Dragons, which I will have a download link in the description for you. But we're going to go over these a little bit in depth. We'll have other videos on all the different races later on, but for now, we're just going to talk about some of the notable ones. Number 1 is humans. We all know humans because we are humans. Humans are a race in the Dungeons & Dragons world. They are a very diverse race. They have a lot of different colors and sizes and shapes and people, and that is one of their biggest traits in the game, is their diversity. Another notable race in Dungeons & Dragons is elves. Now, they are a more magical people that tend to be slender and more graceful than humans, but they have a deeper connection with nature and magic in general, and thus make great magic users. Another classic race in the D&D and fantasy world are dwarves. Now, dwarves we know are smaller, but they are sturdy and tougher people than humans and elves may be, and they are a lot more stubborn than both of them as well. They are very skilled in crafting and using weaponry, and they are very resilient when it comes to things they are able to eat and drink, as you'll find while playing a dwarf in the game. And the last race I'm going to just touch on briefly is the halflings. Halflings are very childlike in appearance, where they're only about 3 to 4 feet tall, so they're very short, very small people, but they are very quick and very lucky, and that makes them great for rogues and other small, stealthy kind of classes in the game. In Dungeons & Dragons, there are many, many, many more races available to you officially and unofficially through player-created races, and I encourage you to go check them out online and find out more about what races are out there for you to play in Dungeons & Dragons. In the next video, we're going to get into classes, and we will be moving on from there and how to build your character in Dungeons & Dragons.